We are continuing with Perek Ches, Galo Shechina Begulata. When we go back to the Navi Yechzkel, who we looked at a lot previously, V'yavo el hagoyim asher ba'u sham, and you will come, and he will come to the nations that you in the plural came there. The whole parsha is related to Klal Yisrael and is in the plural, right? However, the beginning of the pasuk is in the singular. It says, "Vayavo el hagoyim asher ba'u sham," and he came to the goyim asher ba'u in the plural, that they came there. So there's a difference in who we're talking about. And Rashi on the spot picks this up from this, and he says, "HaKadosh Baruch Hu ba imahem begola," that HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes with Klal Yisrael into exile. Umata ozen, and he leans his ear. Ma hayu omrim hashvaim. What are the captors saying? The ones who are holding them captive, bringing the Jews into exile. Hari elu am Hashem. These are the people of God. V'lo haya yacholes lahatzilan. And God did not have the ability to save them. So we see from Rashi that the vayavo, the singular, the word, and he came into exile is not referring to Klal Yisrael. It's not a collective, but it's HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And it's as if HaKadosh Baruch Hu came down from Eretz Yisrael into exile. And this is the exile of the Shekhinah, the exile of the divine presence. And obviously, the exile of the divine presence reduces the revelation of God in our world. The Gemara in Megilah brings the words of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Tanya, we learned in the Brisa, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai Omer, Bo urei kama chavivim Yisrael lifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Look and see how beloved the Jewish people is before HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shebakol makom shegalu, any place that they were exiled, Shechina imahim, the Shechina goes into exile with them. Galu l'Mitzrayim, they were exiled into Egypt, Shechina imahim, the Shechina goes with them. Galu l'Bavel, when they went to Babel, Shechina imahim. And the Gemara continues. Rabbi Shimon says simply that how beloved is Israel, that the Shekhinah is always found with them wherever they are, right? In order to protect them, to guard them in their exile. Along with this, that we have to understand what it means that as long as Israel is in exile, the Shekhinah is with them. The Mechilta says this in a slightly different way. B'kol makom shgal Yisrael, kiviyachol galsa Shechina imahim. Every place that Israel is exiled, as it were, the Shechina is exiled with them. When Israel goes into exile, the Shechina also goes into exile. Meaning, we perceive the Shechina when the Mikdash is standing. The Shechina is more easily perceived in Eretz Yisrael than any other place. So it becomes farther away from us and less perceivable when the Shekhinah goes into exile, even though it's coming with us into exile. It is hidden when Israel is outside of their home. The Gemara continues, even though Israel in the future will be redeemed, Shekhinah imahem, the Shekhinah will be with them. Shnamar, V'shav Hashem Elokecha eshvuscha, and God returns your remnant. Ve'yeshiv lo nemar, it doesn't say he will return. Ela shav, he returns. Melamed she'HaKadosh Baruch Hu shav imahem mibein hagalios. This is showing you that from all of the exiles, when the Jewish people returned to Eretz Yisrael, the Shekhinah returns to Eretz Yisrael. And so too, we have a similar language in the Mechilta, in the continuation of the Mechilta that we quoted earlier. When in the future the Jewish people return to Eretz Yisrael, the Shekhinah returns with them. And if we look further on in the Navi Yechezkel, we'll see this. Ve'echmol al shem kodshi, asher chilelu beis Yisrael b'goyim asher ba'u shama, and I will have compassion on my holy name that was profaned by Israel among the nations when they went there. Lechen amor lebeis Yisrael. Therefore you will say to the house of Israel, Ko amar Hashem Elokeichem, thus says the word, your Lord, your God. Lo lemanchem ani oseh beis Yisrael. It is not for you that I do this, the house of Israel. Ki im l'shem kodshi asher chilaltem b'goyim asher basem sham. But it is for the sake of my holy name that you profaned among the nations when you came there. V'kidashti es shemi hagadol, and I will sanctify my great name, hamechulal b'goyim, that has been profaned by the nations, asher chilaltem b'socham, that you profaned it among them, ve'edu hagoyim ki ani Hashem, and the nations will know that I am God, not because of what you did, because of what Klal Yisrael did, but what Hashem did. Num Hashem Elokim, that affirms Hashem God. B'kodshi behem le'eineihem, I will sanctify them in their eyes. V'lekachti eschem min hagoyim, I will take you from among the nations. V'kibatzti eschem mikol artzos, I will gather you up from all of the nations. V'avesi eschem el admaschem, and I will bring you to your land. And Rashi explains, V'kidashti es shemi, and I will sanctify my name. Mahu hakidush, what is the sanctification of God's name? V'lekachti eschem min hagoyim, the sanctification of God's name is that I will take you from among the nations, min hagoyim, v'kibatzti eschem mikol artzos, and I will gather you up from all of the lands, ve'avesi eschem el admaschem, and I will bring you to your land. The purpose of going out of Egypt, right, or out of Bavel, or out of America, out of Europe, wherever it is that you are, is so that God can be found in this world, is Kiddush Hashem. When it is the nature of Klal Yisrael living in Eretz Yisrael, of Klal Yisrael returning to its land, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu also returns to Eretz Yisrael, right? Mm-hmm. And so redemption isn't as much the redemption of the Jewish people. That's not the most important aspect of redemption. The most important aspect of redemption is the redemption of the Shekhinah. That it is more easier now to see the miracles that HaKadosh Baruch Hu does in Eretz Yisrael than the miracles that he did in our almost 2,000 years of exile. This is the end of this section of the purpose of Geula being Kiddush Hashem. We continue, Zechus Avos Ubris Avos. There is the merit of the forefathers, and there is the covenant of the forefathers. The Anshekenes Gedola, when they wrote the Shmoneh Esrei, when they established the bracha of Avos in the Amida, right? They're talking about the redemption of God in this world. V'zocher chasdei avos, and he remembers the chesed of the avos. Umevi goel livnei v'neihem, and he brings redemption to the children of their children. Leman shmo be'ava, for the sake of his name with love. Right? The purpose, the Amida says, that we all say, hopefully 3 times a day, right, is the redemption of the descendants of the Avos, Leman Shemo Shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for the sake of God, His holy name, right? It's not whole, as it were, as long as Israel is found in exile. The Tur explains, it's not his normal way to explain things that are not halacha, but apparently the we know that you need to have kavana in the bracha of avos, so you have to know what it actually means, right? According to the Gemara, if you're not going to have kavana, at least for the bracha of avos, you shouldn't daven. Nowadays we say, and if you made a mistake, you didn't have kavana in the bracha of avos, the Gemara says you have to repeat the amida. And this is what the Rishonim say. The Rima already says, listen, if you mess it up the first time, you'll mess it up the second time. But nonetheless, it's easier to have kavanah when you know what the kavanah is supposed to be. So the Torah says, "V'zocher hastei avos," and we remember the chesed to the avos. Umevi goel lifnei v'nehem l'man shemo be'av, and he brings redemption to the children of the children for his name's sake. Tiknu lahazkir chastei avos etzel agula. They established that we remember the chesed of the avos, the kindness, the charity of the avos, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, by the redemption. Lomar sha'af im tama zechus avos, so that you know that even if the merit of the forefathers has run out, kulaseinu la'olam kamas, nonetheless our redemption is there forever. Shari hiftiach ba bishmo hagadol, because God guaranteed it with his holy name, with his great name. Vakasher shemo kayim le'olam umei olamim, and just like God's name lasts forever, kach gulasenu le'olam kayim, so too our redemption should last forever. Vahachi pirusho, and this is what it means. Zocher chastei avos, remember the chesed of the avos, livnehem legolam, to their descendants to redeem them. Va'af im tama zechus avos, and even if the zechus avos has been finished, maybe goel livnei v'nehem, bring redemption to their descendants, leman shemo, for his name, shukayim le'olam, that this is forever. The Torah is telling us that first, there's the chusavos. There is the merit that the forefathers established. Because of their great deeds, right, we should be redeemed. But the chusavos, so to put it in modern language, is like a bank account. Your grandfather, great-grandfather, was very successful in business, and he put lots and lots of money in his bank account. And, you don't work so much. You spend more than you earn, and you keep on writing more and more checks, and eventually a check comes back marked insufficient funds. It's possible that we use up the zechus avos. What they put in the bank might not be in the bank account forever. However, there's something else that the Gemara talks about. And the Gemara in Shabbos, and hey, Aleph, the Chachamim say, Mesai tama zechus avos. When is the zechus avos finished? Right? Zechus avos tama, aval bris avos lo tama. So, Rabbeinu Tam is brought in Tosos on our Gemara, and he says the zechus of the avos can run out. We can finish that bank account. But the bris, the covenant the Kadosh Baruch Hu made with Klal Yisrael, that can't run out.
It's everlasting.
That's everlasting. It's a guarantee. God guarantees that he's doing this, and he's doing it for his sake, not for our sake. That's why Rabbeinu Tam says that we say in davening, "V'zocher chastei avos u'mvi goel livnei v'nehem l'man shemo be'ava." It's the chesed of the avos. It's the bris avos that you remember, and it's because of that you bring geula, right? Could be we've used up the bank account already, right? But the guarantee to the avos, which is l'man shemo, which is for God's name, that never runs out. And next time, we'll finish this chapter.